right, so hopefully you have that challenge working. So let's just kind of take a look at what I'm going to do here. So in the start function, I'm going to go ahead and use that get component. Now, when I use get component, this is going to get the component, whatever we specify here, on the object that this script is on, or this class. And so I'm going to get the renderer component. And then when I have access to that renderer component, I can access the material, and then I can access the color property. Then we're going to set that color equal to a random color. Now here you'll see that we have random color and other things that we could possibly use. We could set the color directly, but what we want is a random color. Now, one thing to consider here is that this is looking at the class. This is not a function that we have automatically. So let's go ahead and use what we found. We have random dot, and then you'll see that we have color HSV, we have rotation, and we could start to type in color here, and you'll see that that comes up. Now, looking at the information on this, we have the ability to just put in a hue minimum and maximum, and then we have an overload where we can use hue, saturation, and then another overload that is hue, saturation, and value, and then the final one, which takes all three. So H, S, V, and A for alpha. So for us, it makes sense that we would really only want to change perhaps the hue and saturation, and maybe not so much of the value. Value is basically how dark or light that is. Saturation is the gray values in between. So I think I want to use H, S, and V. I'm not going to worry about alpha. That's just going to stay purely opaque here. So let's go ahead and put in our float values for this. And so I'm going to put in 1.0F for my hue minimum. And then actually let's do 0 on that. And then we want our hue maximum. So let's do 1.0F. And then next is going to be our saturation. Now notice that in my IDE, it's showing me the next overload of this. So it says, oh, you put a comma in, so you have to add in the saturation values at least here. And so I'm going to say a saturation of 0. And then a maximum of 1.0F. And then now we need the alpha for this, or the value, excuse me. So we're going to do 0.1 or 0.F and then 1.0F. All right, we're going to leave the alpha out of that. So now we have this. Let's go ahead and test to see if this actually works. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my solution there, or the Explorer, I should say. And let's go ahead and test this out. So in Unity, it's going ahead and recompiling that code. We should see this updated here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to place this code onto this cube. So now with this cube, we have the random color. And then whenever we hit play, we should see a totally different color applied to that cube. And we do see that it is a green. Now, each time that we do this, if we hit play and then go back in, we should get a completely different color. And you'll see that it does vary in lightness there. So depending on how you want that to look, you could go ahead and modify whether to use just hue and saturation, or you could set your minimum and maximum values to be within a certain range of colors or a certain range of lightness and darkness, and go ahead and try that out. Now, let's go ahead and move on into our next video, and we'll start to look at what our next task could be.